Hopefully we are live and working. I'm using a new bit of technology here. So yeah, my book's out today. Fantastic. I wanted to just come online and just say something about it, I guess, now that it's physically out there into the world. This is it. Leadership is a skill. And it's very much my take on leadership from the perspective of having worked with thousands of people within businesses, within organizations, within coaching, when training, and just how important leadership is to learn as a skill. And it's not often something that we get taught to become skillful at. Sometimes we might be really lucky and the place that we work at, the organization might have some kind of formal leadership training. But the stats show, I talk about those with the references in the book, that only 18% of people have had any kind of formal leadership training. That's quite stunning, isn't it? Only 18% of people have had leadership training. And yet we expect our leaders to work really well, to be amazing, to know what to do, to support us, to empower our careers, to coach us, to help us pick up the pieces when stuff goes wrong, to hold it all together and be able to lead with vision. That's a lot of work for leaders to do, which is ultimately why I think people struggle with it. So yeah, my book, Leadership as a Skill, came out today, released onto the Kindle version and on paperback as well, hopefully around the world. I know there's been a couple of little glitches for people buying it in the Netherlands and so forth. But yeah, if you go onto Amazon and hunt down the book, then that's the best way to access it today in particular. And one of the things I am doing today as a kind of launch day offer is giving people the ability, if they buy the book online on the Kindle version, is to also get a free copy of the paperback edition as well. So there's a little QR code I've just popped up onto the screen over my face. I'll just sit over here, one side, which is basically follow that code. It's basically leadershipisaskill.com, all one word. So leadershipisaskill.com/book. And if you go there, it's got the link to the Kindle version. It's got the form that you then need to fill in to give me your postal address. Because if I can't post it to you because I don't know where you live, that's not very useful, is it? So all I'm asking you to do today is to spend 99p on my book, on the Kindle version of the book, because that's on offer for the launch day. And so spending 99p on the book and then giving me your contact details, and I'll get that other version out in the post to you as well. So that's my big ask for today. And I know many of you out here will have written books, will have been involved with the writing process. I was really lucky that I used the publisher's Rethink Press to get support with my Rethink are a hybrid publisher. So it's not self-published, and at the same time, I wasn't paid to write the book. I paid Rethink to support me in writing the book. And I want to thank Joe in particular for helping to guide me through the process, and Lucy, who runs Rethink with Joe, and then the whole team, Siobhan, who helped me lay out my ideas, very much involved in the writing process, to Eve and to Anka and to Sophie, and to everybody else I probably missed off on the list of the team that's been part of the editing process, getting the covers sorted out, the insides, the Kindle version, the getting it onto Amazon. They've taken care of all of that stuff. So I would highly recommend Rethink Press if you ever wanted to think about doing your book as well. They've got loads of different options. They've got an AI tool to help you kind of lay out the book. They've got various different publishing options as well. So yeah, I would really recommend, and tell them I sent you, by the way. That's always nice to know that those referrals work. But yeah, my book. So it's about 30,000 words, it's 9 chapters. It's basically a bit of a how-to guide. It's the culmination of all the stuff that I've learned about in terms of people development using neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. It's about the stuff that I teach in my training programs. It's the things that I've been, investing in over the last 12, 13 years since I switched from being a web developer into people development. And yeah, testimony to all the people who I've worked with, who have supported me, who I've trained with, And yeah, there's a big page of acknowledgements at the back to thank you to that sort of support team that have enabled me to kind of get to where I am today. And the book is really designed to be out there in the world, you know, to be given at conferences when I go and speak on the subject of leadership, to basically to get into the hands of people that have just never been given that chance or opportunity to learn about leadership as a how-to guide. So that's the purpose of why I wrote the book. So there's 9 chapters in there. The 9 chapters. I'm going to just open the books. I can't read them. I can't remember them from memory. So leadership foundations. So basically, what are the foundational elements of leadership in terms of what's the difference between leadership and management, and the importance of emotional intelligence, and how do we learn. Then the next chapter is about NLP and how NLP is so useful when it comes to self-awareness and just being aware of how have you become who you are today and how you see the world. So there's elements of things like the NLP communication model in there, looking at your values, your beliefs, how you've modeled your approach to leadership. Because let's face it, most of us have probably not necessarily been told, right, this is how you must lead. Like, we pick leadership stuff up. We pick it up initially probably from parenting, from schooling, from the people who are our first managers. Maybe we've got part-time jobs. And then as we start going into maybe more formal job roles, we start off maybe as a junior, and then we become a little bit more senior in a role. And ultimately, perhaps, you know, you get into that position where you're taking a director role on, or maybe running the business, or maybe you very entrepreneurial and you set up your own team. And along those ways, we will have been exposed to really good leaders and some really bad leaders. But both of those, from an NLP perspective, are models that we can pick up from and understand. So that's what a lot of the second chapter is about. It's also a little bit in there about imposter syndrome, that, oh God, they're going to find me out scenario as well. Then there's some stuff around transformative leadership. How do you help to transform your team when you are leading your team? There's a brilliant model by Joe Cheel of Imaginarium Learning and Development, which is called the 3 E's model. The 3 E's are about how do you make sure that you set expectations on your team, that you create engagement with the team, and that you give empowerment to the team. So I talk a little bit about that model in the book. Different leadership models or different leadership areas require different ways to lead the team. Then I talk about a coaching culture. So how to get the best out of your team. And this is where I love being able to gift coaching skills to people. You know, one of the big areas that when I learned about NLP and when I got into business was knowing that if you can help people help themselves, it makes such a big difference. I mean, I know, and I've spoken about this on my TEDx and talked about it quite a lot on social media about this. You know, coaching kind of literally saved my life at one point, because I was in such a bad place in my mid-30s back in the sort of 2011 kind of time, 2010, 2011. And for me, the thing that really made the difference when I decided that I basically wanted to keep going with life was getting coaching, getting support, getting somebody who knew some NLP to help me to start to shift my mindset. And it was through that process that I got fascinated about the process of NLP. And then, you know, became a trainer and set up in business. And myself and Joe Wilson, she was at the time, you know, used to go into all sorts of organizations and teach them coaching skills and give them NLP skills. And so I know what a big difference a coaching culture makes within organizations as well. And that's why I love doing this work. We look at the importance of small adjustments, tiny changes. I reference the work of James Clear from Atomic Habits fame, when he talks about that power. Just change something, just small tweaks make a big difference over a long period of time. And then there's some stuff, more traditional models like the grow models referenced in there as well. Then conflict. Who here hates conflict? Conflict is such a big part of what leaders have to deal with and working life. Disagreements can end up, you know, really escalating and getting massively out of hand. And when conflict starts to appear, often because the emotion starts to get involved, that's when you need to know, how do I handle conflict? How do I look at the drama that's been going on? How do I step back from the drama and take a think about how might I approach something a little bit differently? So again, all of that's in there as well. And how do you avoid stuff? If you've got big changes, things happening within the team that are going to disrupt the team. How do you manage those situations? Supporting other people in their growth is another big part of it as well. Supporting other people to grow. And then feedback and intuition, looking a little bit about how do we do intuition, head, heart, gut, brain in there as well, giving feedback. Chapter 7 is about sharing your vision, looking into the future, communicating that vision. There's a really great model in there called the format model, which is all around how to give empowering feedback. And then how do you get people on board with it? And again, I reference something called the Disney strategy, developed by Robert Dilts. Hi, Robert, if you ever watch this, because that's a brilliant way of getting teams on board as well. And then we start talking a little bit about specifically your support network, how important your support network is. As you're going through life, there will be lots and lots of people that you come into contact with, that you speak to, or that maybe you don't even then see for a while, but you will leave an impact with those people. And how you're perceived out there in your network, in the world, as a leader can really, really help to support that. And the real value of peer support as well. And then the last chapter, reflecting and planning ahead. How do you look towards what's coming next? And really reflect upon the journey that you've been upon as well, because both of those are important. But remember, you can't change the past. Nothing you do or say or think about will change any of your past experiences. But you can choose what comes next. And so for me, when it comes to leadership, what do you want to choose that you want to work on? What is going to be the big thing that's going to be the difference, that makes the difference for you moving forward as a leader? So that's why I call my book Leadership is a Skill. I very much hope that you have got the chance today to jump online and to go and pick it up, 99p Kindle, or 99 cents, I think, in the US. And then, yeah, go on to leadershipisaskill.com/book. And you'll be able to then complete the second step, which is basically filling in the form. So I've got your address and information from that perspective as well. And then when I've got all those things, I'll be able to get the book out to you as well. But I just wanted to jump online onto socials and just do a little bit of a live on LinkedIn and Facebook and anything else, and just have a quick chat to you as well. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining me. Please read the book. If anybody is watching this today and fancies coming to the launch party in London, just send me a message on whichever social media channel you're watching this on right now, and I'll be able to send you a link to come along. It's at 5:30 to 7:30 in Soho. So otherwise, thank you very much. I'm going to end the stream now and look forward to hearing your comments, seeing your Amazon reviews coming in. Anything and everything else that just helps me to support getting this message out to the world, because those 82% of people that have never had any kind of leadership training, let's at least get them a copy of the book. I think that would be a really good mission for the world. So